Hey there folks, welcome back for day 20 of the 30 Days of Banjo. As you might have noticed, we're playing something up the neck again, and this is the B part for Cumberland Gap. Now, this might be a little tricky, and this is one of the very few things in this series that I might not expect you to actually master within one day, or even a couple days. This might take you a little while. It might not, but it might, so that's okay. But what this is really going to do is expand your dexterity with your left hand, and it's okay if that takes time. But what we've done so far is pretty easy so far in the left hand. It might not be the easiest just to get everything to sound right, but it's not like we're really expecting all that much of our fingers. So playing this up the neck here, as Earl Scruggs did, for instance, is really going to increase that because we have to stretch a couple fingers. So in terms of actually playing this, let's first get in the right position. Remember at the end of our up the neck version of Boil That Cabbage Down, where we're on the 8th fret and the 9th fret with our first finger and our ring finger. We want to stay there throughout this entire section. There are other things that are going to happen during this section, but this is going to be our home base, so you can just leave these here. You don't have to really squeeze them all that tight, you just don't have to go anywhere. So let's just go through this measure by measure, and then we'll go from there. This first measure is kind of interesting. It's kind of like a backwards Foggy Mountain breakdown roll. If you remember, Foggy Mountain breakdown roll is index, middle, thumb, middle, then this 4-note forward roll thing. Well, in this case, we're playing that 4-note forward roll thing first. Thumb, index, middle, thumb. Then we do the index, middle, thumb, middle section. And here's how that's going to happen. We're going to do it with the 11th fret with our little finger. This might be a big stretch for some of you, but there are some different ways that we can achieve this. The first thing you might do in order to achieve this is do something like this, or try to reach around, or try to really stretch your finger. That's probably not going to do it. You could probably hold your hand more or less like you always have, or at least in some way emulating what I'm doing here. Your finger doesn't have to reach all the way over and hold just the same all the time. You can actually angle your fingers so that they point up the strings. Then your finger can go just far enough to hopefully reach that note. Now, it's possible that that's going to be the most challenging part of this entire thing, is just reaching that note and getting the right sound. Of course, you want to make sure that your home base is still here, because all of this happens in the midst of that position. But if you spend all your time just getting that to sound okay, then that's fine. Take the time that you need. Anyway, so we're going from there, the 11th fret, right? And we're going to do our index middle, then bring that pinky down 1 fret and do the thumb middle. If this is really uncomfortable, then just do it for a little bit of time at a time. You don't want to do this and injure yourself. But if you're comfortable with it, then you can try doing just that 4-note section at the end of the first measure. Right? And if you can, try to bring in your wrist as much as possible. That might be the most challenging part of this whole thing, just that measure. Great. Assuming that's okay, and if you need to skip that for now, that's fine. Just go back to it after this lesson is over. The second measure is much easier. You're going to keep this home base position that we've been talking about, and you're going to put your middle finger on the 9th fret of the 3rd string. And then you're just going to do a forward-backward roll. Nothing to it. Then the next measure is the same as the first. So if you had trouble with that before, it's not going to be any easier this time, but you'll have plenty of time to practice it. Then the last measure is, again, not so difficult. You're going to bring that middle finger back to the 9th fret. And you're going to do a forward roll, thumb, and then index finger on the 2nd string in a pinch. Here's that last measure again. So here's that whole section slowed down and a little closer. Okay, so I've said it a couple times already, but I mean it. This is going to be a little more difficult, so it's okay if it takes more time. The next couple days of lessons is actually going to be easier material. It's going to be more about what we think about when we play music. So you have more time to practice this material, and I would continue to practice it because it's the more difficult material. Then later on, when we need to use it again, we'll actually have it. So keep coming back to this lesson if you really need to, just to make sure you're getting the position right, you're not getting too much of this or too much strain in your hand, and I'm sure you'll be fine. But I would say that for now, for practicing, I would focus primarily on this section. By the way, your featured banjo player for this lesson is BB Bowness. BB is a great banjo player from New Zealand who now lives in the US and plays with a band called Mile 12, also one of my favorite bluegrass bands. So, hope you enjoy the playlist that I've put down in the description, and if you don't mind, subscribe to this YouTube channel and like this video. That's a huge thing that you can do to help me make more videos, so if you do that, I really appreciate it. Anyway, that's all for today, and I'll see you tomorrow for the 21st day of 30 Days of Banjo.